Alright, right now I'm in Curious Joel, and I'm about to go in to the cemetery. I'm parked right outside the cemetery. I'm about to go in to make the pilgrimage to visit the grave of the Rebbes of Satmar. Now, today, since it's the month of Nisan, the old Satmar Rebbe said that you should only go to the particular grave whose Yartzeit we're observing today. So even though the Rebbe, the Vayol Moshe, the Vayol is also buried there, and the Rebbetzins and their other Rabbanim buried nearby, we're really only going today to visit the scene of the Berach Moshe. Now, and some folks sent me prayer requests I'll be bringing to there while we go in. I just want to reflect a little bit about Berach Moshe, my recollections of him. You know, the first Hasidic Tish that I ever attended was one of his Tishin, was the first year when they opened Machne de Vayol in Swan Lake, New York, not far from where I live. And I remember I went with our Rav, with Rabbi Fishbane, who, as a younger man, he lived over there on Hughes Street, where in the Berach Moshe, when he was still a Sigader Rav, and he had the Bismedrish there on Hughes Street in Williamsburg, and he would often daven there, so it's a strong connection we have in our community. We noticed today, one thing I noticed, I picked up a hitchhiker on the way, and I said, Bacher, I said to him, it's much smaller today, the pilgrimage, than the one we'll have in a few months from now, on the 26th of Av. Today's the 26th of Nisan, a memory of the old Rebbe, which thousands of people. That's really the largest Jewish pilgrimage in the Western Hemisphere, really. And here it's much more muted, much quieter, much smaller. But I have a certain reflection on that, and reflection is really a proper word, as we're going to discuss right now. I remember the Berach Moshe. I remember going to the Tish many times, Shalashudas especially, many times, the Yartzeit Tish, and one time I went to a Friday night Tish, one time I went to, which was in a house, one time I went to candles, Hanukkah candles, maybe more than once. I know for sure once, and that time I actually also went in for Kvittel, and it was Zeicha to give him a Kvittel, only a few months before his passing. And we see here, like we said, it's not as big of a pilgrimage as what we have, and I'm out of respect, I'm not going to bring my camera, and I'm going to leave my phone in the car. For sure, it's it's still a very holy time, and he was a very holy man. But we even though some of my friends and colleagues, especially here on YouTube, might question that, it is a basic idea in Judaism of Yerida Sadoros, that the generations go down one to another. So for sure, no one would deny that the previous Rebbe was not as great as his uncle, the old Rebbe, and so forth. But we're here on this day. It happens more than a coincidence that the Rebbe's Yartzeit falls also on the Yartzeit of Yehoshua ben Nun, Joshua from the Bible, the book of Joshua. And there's many comparisons that we can make. That's why I said reflections. Our sages teach that Moses was like the sun and Joshua was like the moon, meaning that the moon reflects the light of the sun, but also doesn't add anything to it. It might not be as bright, but it doesn't add anything to it. And I think we could say the same thing between the Vayol and the Berach Moshe. Maybe the light wasn't as great, but the Berach Moshe humbly and saintfully, with his tremendous tzidkus and ehrlichkeit, he recognized that he received a pikodon from his uncle, that he received a deposit, he received a collateral, and his job was to return it. He always said, and he prayed, he should be worthy to return it in the same state that he received it. And so he had the light, and he reflected that light, just like Joshua and Moses. So too we can make that comparison, and it's in no way to be interpreted negatively, just the opposite. It's that, because that is what our Masorah is all about. Because really, we can say the same thing going back. It's great as the Satmar was, the old Satmar, he was still only a reflection of his Rebbeim, his Rabbonim, his father, the Kedushas Yantiv, and his Rebbeim. He was by the Shiniver still. He goes back that far, that he was by the Divrei Cheskel, and so forth and so forth. And so, and really, in a sense, we Jewish people, we have our calendar by the moon. That idea of that Masorah, and bringing that Masorah, not adding anything to it. The moon doesn't add any light to the sun; it just reflects that light. And so too, that's our job. Keeping on the Masorah of Yiddishkeit and Torah, that's the way we're supposed to do it. And through that, we can hope that so Os Pol and Alis Gitz, that we come here and we should accomplish whatever it is, and fulfilling this traditional pilgrimage, that we should, of course, recognize that our devotion is to Almighty God, and we shouldn't make any mistakes in what we're doing here, and we should hope that God should answer all our prayers in love and in mercy, and hopefully we also can be reflecting the light that we received from. I remember, that even the few times, that tomorrow is also the Yartzeit of Victor Miller, and also met him a few times, and these